Hey, I'm Siobhan, community cultivator and founder of BEFREE Project. The BEFREE Project podcast was created for community, sisterhood, and personal growth. Each week, you'll be inspired and motivated to do the work to show up for yourself so you too can feel fulfilled and be free. Now grab a pen and a notebook and let's get into the show. The best decision that you can make today is joining the BEFREE Inner Circle at BEFREEInnerCircle.com, a community for like-minded women to find their forever friends and get accountability to do their personal growth work. Your membership includes a private, exclusive community of women who are not only showing up for themselves, but for one another. Weekly live events with me and or guest speakers. Daily accountability, so this way you can finally get stuff done, mentorship from yours truly, and so much more. Now, there's no long-term commitment and you can cancel at any time. However, I can guarantee the moment you join, you're going to feel a warm embrace and you're going to want to stick around. Every single member of the BEFREE Inner Circle will walk away with clarity, fulfillment, and confidence because guess what? When you're around me, you're going to win. So come and grow inside the BEFREE Inner Circle at BEFREEInnerCircle.com. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the BEFREE Project podcast. As always, I am delighted that you are choosing to listen in for another week. Okay, so this week is going to be a little bit different. This past Friday, I did an IG Live, and the topic was letting go of the good girl persona. And it was so good and so rich. It got so many views, so many comments, so many people reaching out to me saying how they really resonated with it. And so I wanted to put it here. This way you can take notes and listen again and again. And I know it's going to really open your eyes and challenge you to think about how you are showing up in the world. And I want to know what you think about the episode. So what you can do is dial into 216-438-0830 and leave your name, where you're calling from, and then share what did you think about today's episode and let me know how it resonated with you. And then if you don't want to leave a message, that's totally fine. I would love for you to shoot me a DM on the gram and just let me know. Be sure to share this episode with a friend so you and your friends can talk about it. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, be sure to subscribe. And I would love for you to share it in your IG stories and tag me at BEFREE Project so I can see it. Okay, so now we'll get into today's episode. Enjoy. And until next time, girl, be free. Happiest Friday. I'm super duper excited to be on today, y'all. I'm ready. All right. So first of all, first things first, if you're catching the replay, thank you so much for watching. Let me know you're catching the replay by typing replay in the comments and just share your key takeaways with me today. Now, to all who are joining me live, hello. If you don't know who I am Siobhan, your community cultivator, and I believe that every single woman deserves to be free and fulfilled in her life. And everything that I do is to teach women how to go from feeling stuck in some area of their life to shift to being free. And I do that by expressing that through my own life. I have a community, a membership space called the BEFREE Inner Circle, where I get to coach, I get to mentor, I get to hold women accountable to do their personal growth work. I also am a speaker, and then I have a podcast called the BEFREE Project Podcast. So if you want to know about anything that I do, make sure you head over to BEFREEProject.com. And today I want to talk about the good girl persona. Yes, this live will definitely be saved. Cross our fingers. I don't have any technical issues or anything like that. But that is the goal, that this will be saved, because this is definitely a conversation that I want to have and I think is necessary. And just let me know before we get started, can you relate to being in this good girl box? Let me know. Just say yes or no if you can relate to being in this good girl box. Also, whenever you watch me live, you want to have a notebook and pen out, because I'm going to be dropping all the gems, and you're going to want to go back and say, oh man, I want to read that. So make sure you always, whenever you catch me live, to have a notebook and pen. Then also, I want, as I'm sharing, as I'm talking, I love engagement. It makes me feel good. Maybe it's the extrovert in me. I don't know. But I want you to double tap your screen and give hearts. I want you to leave comments and your thoughts and all of that jazz in the comment section. I also want you to ask questions. I encourage you to ask me questions, okay? This is your time that you have with me. So use me up in this time that you have. And then lastly, I want you to hit that little arrow in the bottom, of the screen, and invite your friends to come watch this live as well, so that we can all just be having a good time together. All right, so I want to talk about this concept, this idea, this thought around the good girl. And so many of you are saying yes, that you can relate to being in this good girl box. Sharice, who says no, you've always been a rebel, which I love that. I love that. And I wish I was more like you, Sharice. But I grew up being told that I needed to be a good girl. And so if I go back to my childhood when I was a little girl, and y'all know I grew up a certain kind of way, dysfunction, all of that. And I vividly remember my mother just telling me, just be a good girl, right? So that was the first time when I was a little girl, hearing my mother say, be good. And so in my mind, when I heard be good, that means don't cause her any problems, don't create any stress, don't make her want to give you a whooping or anything like that, right? Just be good, sit still, whatever you need to do, stay in your child's place, if you will. And then when I transitioned and I moved in with my grandmother, again, I heard that same message from her and my aunts, just be a good girl, right? And so because I grew up with dysfunction, right? And when I went to move in with my grandmother when I was 14 or 15 years old, because of the experience that I had with my mother, I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, right? I wanted to be good because I didn't want to be in a position where I would yet have to move again. So let me be good. Let me not create any type of anything. So then that way I'm not put in a position where I have to move again. And if anyone has had to like leave their mom, leave their dad, leave their family, and be transitioned into another household, that comes with its own set of trauma and all kinds of stuff, right? And so my grandmother, love her to pieces. She's 91 years old, y'all. And even to this day, she'll say, you've always been my good girl. Even as a 41-year-old woman, my grandmother to this day, 91, will say, you've always been my good girl. And so even that message had followed me all the way to adulthood. So when I think through when I went to college, I just needed to be good. I needed, even if I go back before that, even in high school, I needed to be a good student, right? And then going on to college, following that same pattern, and then even moving into like becoming a wife, I wanted to be a good wife, whatever that looked like. And from my perspective of good is what my pastor was preaching from the pulpit. A wife should be submissive. A wife should be her husband's helpmeet. All of that is what I heard over and over again. So I said, oh, this is how you be a good wife, right? And then when it came to, when I started having children, I was like, oh, I have to be a good mother. And in my eyes, a good mother was everything opposite of what I experienced in my childhood with my own mother. So let me cross all these boxes off so then that way I can be good to my children, right? And what was happening for me was there was this internal competition where, oh, I'll make sure with my mother, I'll make sure that I complete high school. Then I'll make sure that I go to college. And not only will I get a bachelor's degree, but I'll get a master's degree to prove that I'm smart enough, right? And then also I will make sure that I get married first, and then I will have kids. But I won't have too many kids because I want to be able to make sure that I can provide them with a certain quality of life. Let me do all these things that are good. So then that way I'm a good person. And even how society defines women as being good and staying in your place and all of that. And so I lived my life, y'all, like this up until maybe last year. And what happened last year was I would say, well, let me kind of back up. There has been some gradual shifts that has been happening in my life, probably ever since I started BEFREE Project. And that was back in 2014. However, like the real transformative things that are happening started, I would say, in 2019, but 2020 was like significant for me. And one of the things for me is that when I turned 40, it was like a light bulb had went off for me. And I was looking at every area of my life like, what is this? Number one, and who am I? Right? And the version of myself and my birthday is March 21st. So the version, I turned 40 on that particular day, the version of myself that I had become, I was like, this ain't fitting no more. Like, this is not it. And I realized that I had been suppressing a certain part of me in order to be good, right? So I suppressed my true self to be good for other people. And then I learned that, and it has become like a part of me. So if you go back, y'all, and I'm embarrassed. No, I'm not embarrassed. I'll take that back. If you go back in my feed from the beginning, you can, and you read my content, and if you've been listening to my podcast from the beginning and you're listening now, you can see the evolution of my brand. You can see the evolution of me. I remember Sharice, she's in the BEFREE Inner Circle. I think last week, maybe you shared this, Sharice, or maybe the week before. I can't remember. All these days run together. But one of the things that you said was that you could hear my confidence in how I talk on the podcast now. And what you're hearing what you're hearing and what everyone I believe is seeing is me breaking out of this good girl cage that I've been in. And I will say that it is not an easy task by any stretch of the imagination. However, because I was so uncomfortable last year, I was like, I have to do something to change, right? And I know, and let me know if you agree, oftentimes the reason that we're trying to be good is because we want to be liked by other people. But when you're trying to be liked by other people, you're basically not liking a part of yourself. And so let me just say, me, I'm not liking a part of myself because I'm trying to be good to everybody else. And the part that I don't like about myself is the part that I'm suppressing, but that part is very much still there. And I remember I was at a retreat several years ago, at a self-care retreat hosted by my friend Tara. And that is when too, like, something started to click, like, you feeling something, but then I just suppressed it because I wasn't ready to deal with that part of myself. And so over time, I feel like I've been breaking out of this good girl box, if you will. And what I had to do is look at every single area of my life. So I started with myself. I said, okay, what are the parts of yourself that you don't like, but you're doing because you believe you're supposed to be this version, right? What part of yourself don't you like, but you believe that this is what you need to be? And so I was like, oh, well, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like how I show up here. I don't like that if I'm with this particular friend is very different when I'm with this other friend, because then what that shows me is that I'm not being my authentic self, right? And so I had my journal out and I was just writing, and I've been writing and I've been having conversations and I've been, reading certain books that I'll talk about towards the latter of this live. But I literally have been doing the work because I don't like the good girl persona. Now, it's fine if you like it, that whatever. But for me, I do not like it. And I am in this space of becoming less of a good girl every single day. So even if you look at my post that I made this morning, that post was me being less of a good girl. Last year, I would have never posted a picture of myself in sexy clothes. And number two, I would definitely want to share with you that I drink alcohol, right? Because good girls don't drink alcohol, right? Good girls don't wear sexy clothes. Especially if you grew up in a church like me, you keep everything covered, or it's only for your husband. You bet not let nobody else see it, right? And so even with that particular post, that's me saying, no, y'all get to see all of me. I'm not this adorable little cutesy thing that people like to describe me as. And I'm understanding that when people, I don't like the word adore. I don't like being described as adorable, because to me that it just doesn't, I don't like it. And I understand what people say. They look at my personality, my light, and that is attractive to them, right? And so they're saying, oh, my personality is adorable. But I don't like that particular word to be used to describe me, because I don't feel like I'm that. And so even if I go back into last year, I'll say when this actually started with me even posting different pictures on the gram is when I went to the On the Run 2 concert in New Orleans, a couple of years ago. I wore these really, really short shorts and this white tank top, and my friend Denise, we went together. She just joined, and I had the picture on my phone forever. So the people I was with, obviously they saw me in outfit, but I was afraid to post the picture on the gram. And I was afraid to post a picture because I'm like, ooh, all my legs out. People gonna see all my legs. And I'm like, I can't be out here on the gram, because in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to look when I'm running a company. I have to look all professional and all of these basically limiting beliefs and lies that I created in my own head. And so I was having conversations with friends or whatever, and I was challenged, like, hey, if you want to be less of this, go ahead and put the picture on there. Y'all, when I tell y'all I had so much anxiety, so much like, but I wanted to like get out of my comfort zone. I'm like, it's just a picture. You look freaking amazing. Post a picture. So I posted that picture last year, and got so much love on it, all that good stuff, right? So then the picture that I posted today is me even, and then I wasn't scared. I'm like, nope, y'all gonna get all three of these pictures. Y'all gonna see before. Woo! Y'all gonna see before the margaritas, and y'all gonna see after the margaritas, and you're gonna get to see the fullness of Siobhan, because what I'm learning, and maybe this will be helpful for you, is that I don't want to be in nobody's box. And there is a duality to all of us, right? Like I can be this and that. I can be sexy. I can be beautiful. I can be gorgeous, stunning, all of that, right? But I can also be professional and whatever other adjectives you want to use to describe me, right? I can be all of that, and that doesn't take away anything from me. But in my mind for so long, I'm like, oh, no. You got to keep it clean across the board, and you got to be good. And I'm like, that ain't right. That doesn't feel good for me anymore. And so that's one aspect. And then I would say another part for me is that growing up, and I would think maybe teenage years and then also into adulthood, all my pictures, I would smile. I was always smiling, because I didn't think that my serious, sexy face, I felt like you're trying too hard. Now, Denise already know, I will pull out that face in a moment, and you're going to see it on my feed as well. Like, you're not going to see me smiling all the time. You're going to see a serious look. You're going to see a smile and everything in between. And that's okay, because there's duality in all of us. And so I'm hoping, and I'll share some other things, but I'm hoping with me sharing how I am breaking out of this good girl cage that I no longer want to be defined or by or what have you. I hope that it's helpful for you. And I will say that it takes a lot to unlearn. And I had to go back and say, okay, where did this start? Where did you begin? And why did you feel that it was okay to become this version of yourself? And so what's happening now is that there's another part of me that is the more, how do I want to talk about this on here? Denise, you know what I'm about to say. Yes, Liz, those margaritas was everything. If y'all have never been to Momocho, totally go to Momocho. They have the best margaritas. I had a spice. Well, so they give you like this, what do they call it? A black? What do they call it when you get three of them, whatever they call it. And so samplers. So the first sampler that we had, it was cucumber, spicy mango, and honey ginger. And then on the honey ginger, it was like this vanilla sugar on the glass. And then the spicy mango, they put chili chili lime something on the glass. Yo, they were so good. So then we ordered another set because the first set had already hit, right? My husband and I, we ordered another set, and we got the spicy mango again. It was a spicy strawberry and a blood orange. And when I tell you those margaritas, I was like, yeah, so good. Anywho, let me get back to what I was talking about before. So if y'all in Cleveland, and I highly recommend. The food is amazing. And their drink. Denise, we need to go. We need to go to Momocho. Definitely check it out. Anywho, there is this part of me that I have been suppressing for so long, and with all of the work that I was doing last year in therapy and things like that, that version of myself is no longer being suppressed, and I'm allowing myself to experience all of it. And I hope that makes sense to some, and maybe woo whatever. And so I'm just allowing myself to be myself. And I want to be authentically Siobhan no matter where I'm at. And that means that I get to be all these parts of me. And the more that you connect with me here, the more that you follow, you're going to see it all. And so if you're someone who feels like you're in this good girl cage, or you're living up to this good girl persona, I want to ask you a question. Like, why? Oh, flight. Yes, Liz. It's called a flight. Thank you. That's what it's called. But I want to ask you, like, why are you living? Why are you choosing to be a good girl? And I do think for some it's fitting, but you really have to wonder, why are you being this version of yourself? And is it who you really want to be? And I'm going to guess that many of us, if not all, has a free version, a wild part of ourselves, I should say, that wants to be expressed. But the reason that you're not expressing it is because you're too afraid. You're afraid to, like Sharice's point, to rebel against the norms and truly be yourself. But the only person that you're hurting is yourself. And I know that was for me. Like I could feel that part of me. And last year I tried to suppress it, and that part was like, no. We about to be all the way here. And so now I'm just allowing it. And it feels really, really good. And so again, I want to know, like, tell me, why do you, because I feel like several of you said yes, that you are, oh, and let me pause. If you're just hopping on and you don't know who I am Siobhan, your community cultivator, and I believe that every single woman deserves to be free and fulfilled. And today we are talking about letting go of the good girl persona. So if you're someone who struggles with being a good girl, or you know that that's something that you've been living up to, tell me why. Tell me why do you feel like you have to be good, right? I would love to know, so we can kind of have like a conversation about it. And I don't know why I'm moving like this. And then if you have any questions for me, I definitely want you to ask. But let me know in the comments if you struggle, let's just say, I don't want to call it a struggle. If you feel like you've had to live up to this good girl persona, tell me why. And does that feel good? Does that feel good to you? And while I'm waiting on your responses, I will share some of the things that I am doing in this moment to be less of a good girl. And before I do that, I want you to hit the little arrow at the bottom. If you haven't done so yet, hit the little arrow in the bottom right corner and invite your friends to come watch. I would like you to do that right now while I straighten up my little hair wrap. Invite your friends to come over and watch. So what I started doing and what I'm continually doing as it relates to being less of a good girl is that I am feeling all of my feelings. Now, you're probably like, Siobhan, what do you mean? Feeling my feelings is not easy, because the way that I was raised, feelings were not expressed. It's like, quit crying, quit doing this, quit doing that, right? Sit down and be still, stay in a child's place. And there definitely wasn't room to express how I was feeling, not the way that I'm raising my children, right? Because they are very expressive. They are very, very expressive. So I am learning to feel my feelings, and not just the positive feelings, but the negative feelings. And even a couple of weeks ago, I don't know, did I talk about this on here? I don't know if I did, but a couple of weeks ago, I was processing and dealing with some things, and it brought up a lot of tears, a lot of emotions, and I just allowed myself to sit in those feelings. So feeling exactly what's going on inside and being able to identify what those feelings are has been transformative for me. And it's interesting because when you first start when you first start connecting with your feelings, I know for me, I wanted to push them all away. I did not want to experience. I'm like, why am I angry? Why am I sad? Why am I feeling confused? Why do I feel lost? But now I'm like, okay, in this moment, this is what we're feeling and we're going to feel it all. And so oftentimes I will sit in silence. I cry. I may stay in the bed for a little bit. I'll have conversations with friends that can kind of get me through it. Talking to my husband about a lot of things, journaling, my therapist, like all of those different tools or resources, if you will, is what I've been using to feel my feelings. So that's the first thing, is what I'm doing. And hopefully, again, this will be helpful for you. The next thing is I'm being honest with myself. I have not always been honest with Siobhan at all. But now I'm like, okay, how do you feel? And I will honestly check in. I'm like, oh, you know what? Today I'm feeling angry. And I'm like, okay, why are you feeling angry today? Oh, I'm feeling angry because when this person said this, it made me feel like this. Okay, how are we going to process that? How are we going to work through this, right? And so I'm learning to be honest with myself. So then that way I'm not hiding my feelings, trying to be good to protect and make others feel okay. I'm not doing that anymore. No longer will I... like Glennon Doyle says in her book, Untamed, no longer will I disappoint myself to make other people comfortable. I ain't never doing that again. And I will never abandon myself and other to people please, because people pleasing came from trying to be good, right? Trying to be liked, trying not to hurt other people. And I'm not here for that no more. So being honest with myself, how I'm really feeling, what's going on internally, and then honoring whatever those feelings are. But for a long time, I wasn't honest with myself. I felt like I had to lie to myself in order to be there for other people. And that makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. The next thing that I am doing, the next thing that I'm doing or what have you is trusting myself. So if you've heard me talk on here a lot, or you heard me talk on the podcast, for a long time, I needed validation from other people. I didn't trust that I knew what was best for me. I trusted that someone else could give me the approval in order for me to show up. Makes no sense, but that's how it worked in my life. Now I'm trusting Siobhan, and I'm like, all right, you want to do X, Y, and Z? You are capable of making the right decision for yourself. And I trust that every decision that I make, it's the right one. And it feels so good. I feel safe within myself. I feel more confident. Like, oh, you can make your own decisions. You get to show up for yourself, and you can trust that you know what's best for you better than anyone else. And it took a long time for me to get there. So just know, as I say all the time, like this journey is a process. And I'm in the process of even learning how to trust myself. So I'm doing, maybe, I don't know what stage I would say that I'm here with trusting myself, but I'm definitely trusting myself more and more every day. And it feels good. And every time I'm like, all right, let's stick your chest out, right? Let's feel good about this. Like even trusting myself enough today to post those pictures of myself. Trusting like, yes, these are the pictures that you want to share. This is what you want to, this is a caption. You're going to confess, if you will, or you're going to tell people you're a workaholic, right? You're going to tell people how your friend pointed that out to you and how that was triggering. Then you're going to share with them, hey, now I take 2 days off per week. And I'm trusting that the decisions and the choices that I'm making are right for me. And what you will learn, the more you keep listening to me, the more you keep reading my content, the more, you're in the BEFREE inner circle, you're going to see how free I'm becoming more and more every day. And my goal, my mission is that the more that I show up and be myself, you will connect with my light and you want to be free as well. Because I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the reason that you want to be connected with BEFREE Project is because there's some part of you that wants to be free. I feel very strong, like 100% confident that you're like, oh, Be Free Project. Oh, I want to be free. But you're too afraid. You're too afraid to do it because of this maybe good girl persona or life that you're trying to keep up, whatever, to look a certain kind of way versus just being your most authentic self. The next thing that I'm doing is I'm doing the hard things afraid. So 2020, if you've listened to the podcast, I did a part 1 and a part 2 of my awakening is what the episodes are called. And I recapped 2020, and every single month from March until the end of the year, I was making very hard decisions. And those hard decisions were very, very, very uncomfortable. And I felt like I was going to break. I can't do nothing else. But guess what? I loved myself so much. I trusted myself so much that I said, oh, what you're going to keep doing is the hard thing. You don't want to be a good girl anymore. You don't want to be stuck in this box, if you will, right? You're going to keep doing the hard things and showing up for yourself. And guess what? You're going to be uncomfortable for a while, but you got to be willing to sit in that uncomfortable feeling in order to get to the beauty on the other side. And guess what? It's beautiful here, y'all. When I tell you, I have never felt so free in my life. Never. Because I'm being Siobhan, right? Because I'm being my full self. Because I'm showing up exactly the way that I want to, right? And I don't have to wear a mask anymore. And I don't have to perform to make other people feel good. And even when I think about friendships that have shifted over the years, it's like, oh, you were being good. You were being good in that friendship. You not good no more. And this is why you can't hang out with certain people. This is why you can't be with certain people, because that version of you don't exist anymore. The version of you now, you're becoming the woman that you've always wanted to be. And that feels good. It feels really good. I'm also, what's helping me as it relates to being less of a good girl is having real conversations with my friends. And so one friend and I, we don't do this as much now, but when we were reading the book Untamed, we would ask each other every day, she would ask me, how are you less of a good girl today? And the reason that she would ask me that question is because that's something that I was trying to be less of. And so every day I had to think, okay, how am I going to be less of a good girl? And that could be me speaking up for myself. That could be me doing something outside of my comfort zone. It could be a plethora of different things. But every single day, the question was, how are you being less of a good girl today? And because I knew she would ask me the question, I was intentionally trying to figure out, okay, well, what does that look like for me? Now she doesn't have to ask the question because I'm becoming less of that, because that's a desire for me. Maybe the desire is very different for you, but for me, I don't want to be in anybody's box. I don't want to show up like other people want me to. I want to be myself, and I don't want to be good, right? Because good is like, oh, you got to play nice all the time. I'm done. I am done with that. The next thing is I ask for what I want, right? I ask for what I want by taking up space. So even if I think about how that looks in my company, now I'm, to Sharice's point, I'm very confident. Yes, you need to join the Be Free Inner Circle, period. You do, right? And if you're not in it, shame on you that you're not in the Be Free Inner Circle. And what is it? It's a membership community where I get to coach women to do their work. And this is why you need to be in it, because so many of you follow, you listen week after week after week, but yet you still feel stuck. You feel stuck in your life. One lady posted, and this is no judgment, I'm just going to state what it is. One lady posted on my timeline this week, I forgot what question. I must have asked the question of, what do you like to do for fun or for play? And she said, I live vicariously through people on Instagram. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. That's how you live your life, right? you live your life vicariously through people on Instagram. What I have to say, there's so many women who feel stuck. There's so many women who are not living their best lives. There's so many women who are not free. There's so many women that are in these boxes and just like so stuck. And this is the thing, y'all. I can see it. I can see a stuck woman a mile away. I can see it. Like, I can talk to you probably for a few minutes and I'm like, she's not happy. She's not living the life she wants. She is not free by any stretch of the imagination. I can look at people on Instagram and I don't care how cute your picture is. I don't care how made up your face is, the cutest outfit, how much money you spending. I can see a stuck woman a mile away. It's like, I can see it. It just shows up, right? And so when I can see that you feel stuck in your life and I can see that you're not doing the personal growth work to change your life, my question is, why aren't you in the BEFREE inner circle? So when I say, oh yeah, I asked for what I want, I'm telling you point blank why you need to be in there. Because if you can look at me and you can look at me and say, oh man, she's so free and I love the way she's showing up and all of this. You need to be as connected to me as possible, right? So then that way, you too can have some level of freedom in your life, and everyone's version of free will look completely different. But there's no reason why week after week after week, you're not making any changes in your life, and yet you feel stuck. Being stuck is not cute, and it's costing you way more than you probably even know. And so I ask for what I want. I tell people why you need to be in the BEFREE inner circle, why you need to come to my events, why you need to do your work, why you need to walk every single day or do some type of movement. Because I'm confident in myself and how my life has turned out based on the work that I'm doing, that I can boldly say, oh, this is what you need to do. And even when it comes to taking up space, no more will I play small in my company. No more will I do that. You're going to see me take up all the space and be the loudest, and not loud as in vocally, but loudest with my presence, because I believe in what I'm building. I believe in the work that I'm doing. I'm here to impact millions of women across the world be free. And I can't do that playing small. So I have to ask for what I want. I have to take up space. I have to be confident in the work that I'm doing and know that I'm here for a reason. And then the more that I take up space in my life, I get to teach other women how to do the same. So even when I think about the members in the BEFREE inner circle, there's so many women who are doing so many different things in their life, and I get to be a part of that. And this is how I see it. If I can impact one woman, that means that every single person connected to her, their life will be changed as well. They will be inspired by what she's doing. But I got to keep showing up and doing my work. And so I ask for what I want. I'm very crystal clear. I'm not being a good girl and being quiet and nice. No, because that ain't going to get you nowhere. And you'll be in the same spot year after year after year because you are trying to be good for other people. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm speaking up and I'm speaking my truth, right? So I used to be someone who was very quiet, believe it or not, quiet and shy. And because of what happened to me in my childhood, I did not use my voice. And so it wasn't until therapy when my therapist was like, you have to own your voice and all of this stuff. And so gradually over time, I've become more and more confident with doing that. And now I have no problem speaking up. You gonna know Siobhan is in the room, no matter what room I'm in, you will know that I'm there. And you will also, if I have conflict or have a certain kind of feeling about something, if you're in my like close circle, I'm going to speak my truth. It's always going to be respect. It's always going to come with respect and love, but I'm definitely going to tell you how I feel after I process all of my emotions and feelings and stuff around it. And then the last thing that I'm doing is I'm practicing real self-love, and not the trendy stuff that we see on the gram. No. I'm really loving myself. I'm listening to myself. I'm honoring who I am and who I'm becoming, and loving every aspect and every part of myself. That is what I'm doing to be less of a good girl. And I will say this will continue to evolve for me the more that I'm growing. But right now where I'm at, these are the things that are working for me. I will share that and then I'll take any questions and any thoughts that you may have about the topic. 2 books that have been transformative for me. And you can find the link to both of these books in my show notes. Am I doing a podcast? You can find the link to both of these books in my the link in my bio. So if you shop on Amazon, I have an Amazon bookstore. So any book that I ever talk about, you can find it there. So what I recommend you doing, especially if you're going to get any book at all and you shop on Amazon, use my link. I make a small little commission from it and I will greatly appreciate it. So the books that I'm going to share with you today, they are in the link inside my bio, and you'll see the Amazon bookstore and you can find everything there. So this book right here, Women Who Run with the Wolves, has been a game changer for me. It is not an easy read. I will say that. It's pretty thick too. It's like probably 560 something pages in here. But it says Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype. I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. But I do think you have to be in a certain place in your life to receive it. So I tried to read it back in 2017 and I was like, what? I couldn't pick up nothing. I was just like, ooh, this is way over my head. Picked it up again in 2020 and I was just consuming it. So much so that me and my friends started a book club and we read it together. I highly, highly, highly recommend this. Even the quote on here, it says, a deeply spiritual book. She honors what is tough, smart, and untamed in women. She venerates the female soul. So read this. And then the next book that I recommend is Untamed by Glennon and Doyle. I read this book last year and I read it when I don't know if I read it I read it in May, end of May, beginning of June, something like that. And as I was reading this book, I was like consumed by it. And then there was times when I was reading it and I had to put it down and I was crying because she was speaking directly to me. And we actually ended up reading this book as a part of our book club inside the BEFREE Inner Circle. And so many women, it was so helpful for them as well. And they still go back and read it. But this book is just like, it literally changed my life. It literally changed my life. And so I was looking for a passage that I would read with you, but, actually, see, look at that. I am going to read this because this is what I mentioned earlier. This is something she says in the book. She says, every time you're given a choice between disappointing someone else and disappointing yourself, your duty is to disappoint that someone else. Your job throughout your entire life is to disappoint as many people as it takes to avoid disappointing yourself. I underlined it. I put some brackets around it because I'm like, I don't ever want to forget. I'm never going to disappoint Siobhan again, period. So those are two books that I highly recommend. Again, you can find those in my link in my bio, in my Amazon bookstore. But that's what I wanted to talk about today, the good girl persona. And let me know, do you have any questions? Do you have any thoughts? How do you feel? Let's see. And I'm going to scroll up to see what y'all are saying. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Brittany, for telling me you love the topic. Yay. Let's see here. Staying Crown says, I used to pride myself on being the good girl. Me too. I did. I thought that was the right way to be. And then the more that I read and the more I started learning myself, I'm like, no. I don't know. Not at all. I would have never, shared certain pictures. I wouldn't have never definitely talked about and socially drinking because I thought that was the wrong thing to do. But who says that? Who tells us what's wrong and what's right? You get to define that for yourself. Liz says being good equal being quiet. Yep, that's what it was for me. Just be quiet, stay in your place, don't do too much, so then that way they could be happy. But as I was making other people happy, I was disappointed myself, I'm so happy for everyone that joined in for this conversation today. Cherie says, yes, I can hear the increase in your confidence from the first episode of the podcast to your current podcast episode. The growth is amazing to watch. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I can feel the growth. Like when I talked about on one of the lives, like how I can feel freedom in my body, like I can truly feel it. And I can feel the growth. I can feel like how one day I was this way, and then, as I'm doing all of the inner work, I can feel the shift that's happening. So it's an honor to me, and I'm grateful that other people can witness it and see it. Because, I don't want to just be out here alone like, oh, you think you're growing and then you're really not. Because if you're truly growing, other people will be able to see it. Denise says your growth has been all the emojis. Thank you, friend. Thank you. Let's see here. Those margaritas brought me so much joy. Yes, you do need to go there, Liz. Go get you what you call it, a flight. Yes, go get a flight of margaritas. My bartender, her name was Alex, and I had a good conversation with her last night. So tell her, if you see Alex, tell her I sent you. Let's see here. Liz says, what you keep in will come out at some point. Yeah, it definitely will. And I would rather do the work now. Versus silencing a part of myself. Like, I'm telling you, once I turned 40, I was like, no. I'm too live for TV and too real for radio. I'm too live for TV and too real. Thank you. This black is, you know what's next to this whole tattoo. And this is something too, the whole tattoo thing. Y'all know I'm working on the sleeve, and that will bring out a whole nother level of confidence and sexiness. So if y'all into tattoos, get a tattoo. I also was told to be a good girl as a child. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of us are. And then you wonder why you live your life trying to check off all of these boxes to be good. So even when I think about myself, like some of the boxes, like, oh, I got to finish college, I got to get married, I got to have kids, I got to have the job. And then I got to some point in my life and I'm like, okay, I got this stuff, but what does this really mean? And it's like, no, I want to be free. I want to be able to express that wild version of myself that we all have. Like, I want to I just want to break out, okay? I ain't trying to be nobody's good girl. No. Steph Floss 101 says, no struggling here, but I've been put in the position to be always on point or super professional. So what is that? But then this is my question, Steph Floss 101. What does that really mean to be super professional? Who told you that you had to be on point? What does that mean? Like people want us to live up to their standard, but what about the standard that you have for yourself? So great that you're not struggling with the good girl persona, but what does it mean to be super professional and to be on point? And then how does that make you feel? Is that true to who you really are? Because if it's true to who you really are, great. But if some part of it feels like, that's not me, or you have to force yourself to be something, then I challenge you to do some inner work around that. Patrice says, I was always the responsible one. I grew up Muslim, so there were a lot of restrictions on what to wear and how to act. Yeah, I'm sure. Religion would do that to you. Even when I was in the church, a certain way you had to dress, a certain way you had to be. And, you couldn't do anything secular because that was a sin. And, it's like boxes. And I am so free now and so connected to God now that this life that I'm living is a life that's best for me. And to each his own, like whatever works best for you, but this works for me. Let's see, Sis Journals. I like that name. I love your podcast. I have my own, and in a way you inspired me to not get discouraged. Yay! I'm glad I inspired you. That makes me happy, and thank you for listening. Let's see. I think that is everything. Let's see here. Sylvia says, for me, you're not living being a good girl. People pleasing. No. People pleasing never works. And this is the thing. You live your life pleasing all of these people and then end up like dying inside. And that's what's happening when you're not fully being yourself. A part of you is dying. And so I know that to be true because for me, I was suppressing a version of myself. I was like holding this part of me, like just pressing it all the way down internally because I was afraid to be who I am. Like I always had to put on this certain kind of look, this smile, so then other people will be comfortable. And that's just, it's not fulfilling. And it's also, and fairness is one of my top 5 values. It's not fair. It's not fair for me to be less of me to make other people comfortable. That's not okay. It's not okay at all. And so if being a good girl is something that you struggle with, I challenge you to do your inner work around that. Like every belief that you have, ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to do it? Or am I doing it because somebody told me this is how I had to be? And if it's not how you truly want to live your life, then it's up to you to do something different. I'm so glad you tuned in too. I'm glad that you enjoyed this topic. Tommy. Okay, I got it. It's always like when you're looking at it, you're trying to put it together. But I'm glad you enjoyed this topic. And I just challenge everyone to do their work to make sure you are living the life that you desire and not a life that somebody else has designed for you. So all that to say, thank you for tuning in today. I will be back live. Yes, I will. I will be back live next Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you set a reminder on your phone to join me. I highly recommend that you become a member of the BEFREE Inner Circle by going to BeFreeInnerCircle.com. So then that way I can teach you how to be less of a good girl, and so that you can find your forever friends and get accountability with doing the personal growth work. If you have any question whatsoever about the community space that's literally changing lives all over the world, you can always shoot me a DM. I will respond to you.
Hi, I'm Dina Payne, and I joined the BEFREE Inner Circle in February of 2021 because I would like to discover my life's purpose and enjoy more freedom and abundance in my life. I recognized that in order to accomplish these goals, I needed accountability and I needed to surround myself with other positive and like-minded women who are on a similar path. What I love most about the BEFREE Inner Circle is that Siobhan has cultivated a safe and welcoming community where women can receive resources, support, encouragement, and motivation to achieve and accomplish their goals. If you are also on a journey of self-development and self-discovery, I highly recommend joining the BEFREE Inner Circle.